Good afternoon. Welcome all to our latest Think Productive People Professionals session. I can see people crossing the threshold, joining our Zoom webinar this afternoon. I'm Lee. I'm going to be one of the two hosts this afternoon, although mostly you'll be hearing from my colleague Dee, who is the expert on all things Microsoft within Think Productive.
Nice to
So,
see you.
so if you're back and you have returned from a previous session, it is lovely to see you again. I can see names popping up in the participant list, many of whom I recognize. But if you're here for the first time, then you are especially welcome. And we're really enjoying sharing some things with you this afternoon and taking you a little bit into the world of Think Productive. So my role today, I'm kind of like assistant, back office, tech troubleshooter. So I'm going to be mostly keeping an eye on what's going on in the chat and the Q&A. So if you want to head to the chat and start putting some things in, just so we can check that that is working for us all this afternoon, drop us the good afternoon, hi, excellent. Adrian from Portsmouth wins the prize for the fastest reaction there. So we got plenty of opportunities to put things in the chat. If you want to share with just me and Dee, you can, but it's much nicer if you put things in that everyone can see. So just check that you've got those two options, send to everyone or send to hosts and panelists before you hit send. And then the other thing that will be useful for you this afternoon, and again, I will be primarily scanning it whilst Dee shares all the exciting stuff, is the Q&A panel as well. So if you have a specific question that you would like to ask at any point, then using the Q&A option to drop us that is going to make sure it's a little bit more visible than if it's in the fast scrolling chat stream. Anything else technical, do just let me know. You're obviously off camera and muted because we are in webinar mode this afternoon. And then the very last thing that Dee asked me to do as opening proceedings is on the screen. So let's get some initial reaction in the chat. Like, how are you doing with you and the Microsoft tools? Are you friends? Are you best buddies? Do you know the deep secrets? Or are you maybe somewhere over the other end and it's all a bit confusing, it's all a bit overwhelming, you're not even sure what it is, you don't know. And maybe anything particular that you're looking for help for this afternoon as well. So I'll just give a couple of minutes for things to drop into the chat and I'll share with Dee and then Dee will open us up properly as well. James says, Dee, I suspect I'm missing something, but I'm not sure what. Paul says, pretty sure I don't know much at all. We got other people dropping in as well. Need to get to know each other a bit more. It can be quite frustrating. We tolerate each other, says Jess. Adrian says, I like Teams. And Joe says, same as James. So that was, I suspect I'm missing something, but not sure what. So the good news is, everyone, I've seen these slides for this afternoon and you're in exactly the right place. So I will be continuing to monitor the chat and the Q&A and will interrupt Dee in full flow if there's anything that we want to introduce. And Dee, it's over to you. People are saying, haven't got a clue and don't like Teams, exclamation mark
Oh,
as well.
oh. Yeah, we hear that a lot. And really what we try to do at Think Productive is iron out the confusion and make space for what matters. And Microsoft should be the thing helping you get your work done, not stopping you get your work done. So hopefully in this short taster, you'll get some really good tips to help turn some of those frowns upside down. I saw lots of frown emojis coming through. We want to turn those to smiles. So yeah, I'm Dee. I work for HQ at Think Productive as Head of Learning Success, and I also deliver our Microsoft for Productivity Ninjas workshop. So welcome back to those of you who have been on our workshops before or even been on some of our taster sessions. And also welcome to those of you who are new to Think Productive and our world. So we are on a mission to help you really make space for what matters, get your best work done so that when you're not at work, you're not kind of obsessing over work and worrying about it. And you can see from the list displayed that we really value walking our talk. We live and we breathe this stuff. So we are the productivity experts, also the leadership experts. We help with core skills as well, but everything is umbrellaed under our productivity mantra. So a big welcome. So this is a taster for a 6-hour workshop. So it's a really long workshop. But today we've taken a snippet of that workshop and tried to give you something that's going to really help you, something that you can take back to your work, to your team, but also get you really excited about the 6-hour workshop as well, and hopefully get you thinking about booking that. So we're going to focus on 2 strands today. We've got just over half an hour. We're going to have a look at what you can do to supercharge your Teams meetings. And we're also going to look at what Microsoft has to offer in terms of a second brain for you. A second brain, in case you're not used to that terminology, is essentially a to-do list, but with a difference, because it funnels everything you need to do into one place and does all the thinking and the worrying for you so that you can look in one place and know what you need to do. So that's what we're going to be focusing on today, these 2 strands. So let's kick off with Teams meetings. So I'm going to be talking you through some functions that you may not know exist, that can really help, as it says there, supercharge your Teams meetings. So let's get stuck in. So let's kick off with arguably the most important part of any meeting, a well-planned and specific agenda. So you may not know, or you may not have noticed, that you can add a live agenda inside your meeting invitation by clicking on the Add an Agenda link that's at the bottom when you set up the meeting. So once you click Add the Agenda, it gives you a chance to use what's called a loop component. And if you're not familiar with loop, it's part of your 365 subscription, and it allows you to create and share components across all your Microsoft platforms, Teams, Outlook, Word, and anywhere you can add a hyperlink. So you can see there is space to add your agenda, your meeting notes, and your tasks. So during the meeting, you can capture all your follow-up tasks centrally and assign them with due dates. So you can see here that we're in an imaginary meeting and it's been decided that one of my tasks is to order pizza for the team. Very, very important task. And you can see there that that has then assigned it to me with a due date. Just like that. Lee.
So already the chat is kicking off. Joe says, well, I've learned something already, exclamation mark, which is good. Emmanuel asks, can you add a link to a Teams folder to your meeting invite? I'm not sure whether they mean a SharePoint folder or whether they mean a team. And I'll let you maybe clarify the difference between the two, depending on what we think they were asking.
So I think it sounds like they're asking, so once you've got a document saved on SharePoint, if you right click it and you click share, you can then copy a link, and that link can be pasted anywhere. So you can put it in the agenda. So it might be to discuss this document, and then you could put the link in. So you might decide that actually you might make within your agenda some pre-work. So Productivity Ninja Haley always says, when she's talking about meetings, that actually a lot of the work should be done before the meeting. So if you've got some pre-reading, you can pop that in your agenda as a bit of a pre-action point, and you can hyperlink your SharePoint document to that so people can go straight in.
Comprehensively answered Emmanuel's question. I know you want to make progress, but I'll drop in a general thought that maybe you can address as you're going.
Yeah.
Katie asks, how much of this works when people are joining from different organizations? E.g., I can't use Whiteboard in multi-org meetings, so wonder if this is the same. Maybe you can say something about that as we're moving through some of the other tips.
It won't work unless someone in your admin has configured it in the back end to allow you to use these things for external people. So that can be turned on and off, but your Microsoft admin person would need to configure that for you in line with your confidentiality policies.
Great. I think you've also just answered Greg's question, which was, I don't seem to have that option. So again, I think it's check with your people who've set up your
Yeah.
365 setup, and they can turn on any of these features that appear to be missing as
Yeah.
well. This just shows the popularity and the hunger for this stuff, because I can't stop the questions, Dee, and I
Oh.
know you want to move on to the next tip, but at some point, please clarify, says Denise, the difference between SharePoint and OneDrive. And I've heard you answer that before, so I'll let you
Yeah.
choose when you want to do it.
So what I might just quickly say to that is we did a taster webinar a few months ago, and we addressed that in that session. So if you go back on our YouTube, you'll be able to find that, or perhaps Lee, if you can find it, we
Yeah,
can post a
I
link.
can post the link to our
Okay.
YouTube channel, and I will post that one as well before the end of the workshop.
Okay.
Oh,
All
anyway,
right.
Dee, move on. Share some more amazing wisdom with us.
So, what I love best about this is once you've assigned a task to someone in the meeting, it automatically goes to your Microsoft To Do. Um, so you can see here, order pizza is now in my Microsoft To Do second brain, so I don't have to capture it anywhere. And we've got more coming up on To Do shortly. That's going to be the second strand that we're going to be looking at. So there you go. You can see order pizza is in my second brain. There's some other things, really exciting things that you can do with a Teams meeting. You can also set up polls before a meeting that you can then launch when the time is right in the meeting. So within your meeting, if you can click here on the add button, and that's got the orange square around it, it will then give you some options of things to add. So I typed poll in the search bar and different options have appeared. Now, most of these are third-party add-ins that you pay for. But this one, this polls, is a Microsoft add-in that's included with your Microsoft 365 subscription. So if you add that poll into your meeting, it gives you the chance to then create your polls. So you can create your own poll by clicking new poll just here, or you can see here there's a suggestions menu and it gives you some really nice suggestions of polls that you might want to use in your Teams meeting. You can even adapt these as well. So if you liked 3 out of 4 of them, but you wanted to change the fourth one, you can just edit them. And then what's really nice is once you've put those into your Teams meeting, so this is me now inside the meeting. I've started the meeting. Along the top, I've got polls. And you can see there that it's a draft poll at the moment, and I can launch it whenever I like. So if I know during the meeting I'm going to want to take a poll, I can set that up in advance and have it ready, waiting to go. You can always create a new poll. You can see it does have a new poll box to tick. You can do that live in the meeting, but often better to have them ready to go, I think. So that's something else that you can do from your Teams meetings. And then I also just wanted to show you from inside the meeting, the same Teams meeting, I've clicked notes, and that is where you will find the agenda and everything that you've pre-set up beforehand. It automatically syncs into your notes. So if you click on the notes tab, you can see the agenda, but you can also add to it. So if you're in the meeting and we decide, right, Dee's going to order pizza, you can pop that straight there. It automatically goes to my Microsoft To Do. You don't really need meeting minutes because you're doing it live. Go for it, Lee.
So Sashi, just saying about polls, has heard that the Microsoft Polls app has a low rating. I don't know whether that's like, the user experience of those completing it or those setting it up. So we tend to use a third-party polls
Yeah.
tool called Polly. Any sort of general advice about using third-party plugins or third-party things with this kind of stuff as well?
Yeah, polls works nicely for me. I've never used it for anything really complicated.
Hmm.
You might find that if you want to do polls with, if you say this, then this happens, you might want a third party. You can also put Microsoft Forms in as well. If you type forms in at the top instead of polls, with Microsoft Forms, I mean, actually, polls is one part of Forms. It lives in Forms in the back. But if you want the whole Microsoft Forms where you can do all kinds of quizzes and questions, that's a good add-in as well. Um, but it really depends. I mean, play around with it, see what
Yeah.
works for you. Um,
I
but
think in
I've,
general, they tend to have like a version of most of the things that you'd want to do, like built in within.
yeah,
But then obviously, third party tools sometimes specialize in one
yeah,
particular thing. So,
yeah,
you might have whiteboard, but you may, for instance, want to do a meeting where people are participating via a Miro or something, which is a much more sort of
yeah,
fully textured,
yeah.
deliberately built for that kind of thing as well. Another question that's just come in, which I know you're going to talk about later, and I will remind you if you forget. How do I turn a Teams chat message into a task in Planner, but not in To Do? That's an interesting one.
Yeah, that
And
we
the
did
general
cover that
version
in.
about how to cover a chat message into To Do as well. So
Yeah, both of those things are covered in our 4-day workshop. So I'm not going to have a chance to probably demo those
yeah,
today.
but both
I'll
possible.
try, both definitely possible. Um, if I see a window to kind of demo it, I will do my
Cool.
best. But
Carry on.
do join us
Pe-
in the 4-day
People
webinar.
are hungry for the wisdom, and this is
Yeah,
just a flavor of the kind of things that we cover.
yeah. Okay, so some other things. For while we're on our first strand, supercharge your Teams meetings. So when setting up a Teams meetings, some people don't always realize that that little arrow just here to the right of new meetings opens up a whole new world of options for you. So let's take a look at some of the other things you can do other than a non-standard Teams meeting. So the first thing is a webinar. So a Teams meeting is traditionally more collaborative and conversational, but a webinar is more structured. So your presenter shares ideas or provides training. The attendees have limited audio and sometimes video permissions, sometimes not. So we're in a webinar now. In a webinar, you can ask people to register. So that allows you to set capacity limits. You can custom questions that people have to answer when they register to your webinar. So you can learn more about your audience. And you can customize an event by adding branding and banners and color themes. You can include presenter photos and presenter bios on your kind of event site when you're creating a webinar. And then what's really great about a webinar is that afterwards you gain insights from your webinar. So attendance lists, interaction lists, all those kind of things.
So good
So
for training events,
yeah,
customer facing events, public events.
yeah,
I'm a little bit intrigued whether Zoom has some kind of detector built in that can hear we're talking about what it's like to do a webinar in Teams. I'm surprised
yeah,
it hasn't shut us down for competitive reasons. But there
yeah.
you go. Like it.
So another kind of meeting that you can use to supercharge is a town hall. So a town hall meeting is larger scale, more like a big virtual event designed for organizations to communicate with really broad audiences. Um, and again, there are Q&A, real-time polls, live chat, all those kind of things that you can use in a town hall. But you can also have live streaming, pre-recorded content, attendee registration, but crucially, you can have up to 10,000 participants in a town
Wow.
hall. So really good if you're doing something much larger scale. And again, you get built-in analytics, you can measure engagement and impact as well. So I would say the real difference between a webinar and a town hall, probably a town hall is for much larger audiences, and potentially more kind of external audiences as well.
The idea of having an audience of 10,000 absolutely terrifies me. We've got
Yeah.
a lovely friendly group of 120 this afternoon. So
Yeah, no,
10,000 feels like another scale, but it's good to know
yeah,
the tech exists.
yeah. And then lastly, a virtual appointment. So this is really nice as well. So a virtual appointment is a feature in Teams, so that you can facilitate scheduled one-on-one meetings with external participants, like a client, patient, or a customer. And these appointments are accessible through a web link. They don't have to have a Teams account. So when you create this kind of virtual appointment, you can do your scheduling, you can automate reminders, you have a virtual waiting room as well. So just like you went to a real appointment, a virtual appointment kind of puts you in a waiting room while the person you're meeting kind of then lets you in. So Microsoft say it's more of a kind of smooth professional experience with really robust privacy controls as well. So loads of benefits for that. Hopefully it will reduce kind of no shows because you've got all those reminders, and just give that really professional, seamless communication tool. And that's what we want for external meetings. So something else that you might find really useful in terms of Teams. So that kind of brings us to the end of our first strand. Lee, go for it.
Joe, and I suspect others, are absolutely desperate as we go into this next section to please confirm that you can flag a Teams message to turn it into a to-do, because they
Yes.
think that would change their life. So
Yeah.
I know, and you already mentioned this kind of second brain concept, which we do on the full day, how to be a productivity ninja. I think Joe highlights one of the challenges, which is all this information that
Yeah.
does need to get on your to-do list arrives in all these
Yeah.
different places, including chat messages.
So if you've got a if you've got a Teams message and someone has messaged you, Lee, could you please update this brochure for us? And Lee's like, oh, I really want that in my Microsoft To Do. If you right click it, create tasks, and you want create tasks by planner, um, and then you click on that, and it will automatically then send it to your Microsoft To Do. So I don't have it ready to demo, but
No, no, everybody's
hopefully
been reassured it's
hopefully that's
possible,
enough.
and there's
Yeah,
enough people excited by it. Yeah, try it out after this
yeah.
session. See how it goes.
Do try it out. Um, and that really is a really nice kind of link into your second brain in Microsoft. So we say in Think Productive that every ninja needs a second brain. Um, I don't know about you, Lee, but I mean, my memory is not my key skill.
No.
But I feel like that's okay because I wasn't employed for my memory. We were employed for problem solving and communication and collaboration and all the other great skills we possess. So I want a second brain that's going to do all the remembering for me, because I want to rest easy after work and just know that everything is captured into one place. So Microsoft has an answer to that. Loads of people use lots of different second brain tools, Trello, Todoist, some use a pen and paper, and that's fine too. So I'm just going to show you what Microsoft has to offer in terms of a second brain tool. So we've already kind of spoke a little bit about it's connected to Teams, and you've already seen there that it's also connected to Loop as well. So anything that's assigned to you on Loop. So you saw there in the meeting agenda, Diane ordered pizza. It automatically went in my Microsoft To Do. It connects to your calendar. It connects to your emails as well. And we go
And
into
MS
this.
Planner as well. So if
Yeah,
you're assigned
MS
a task in
Planner.
MS Planner, it appears in your own to do as well.
It
Yep.
does, and also OneNote syncs with it as well. So If you use OneNote to plan tasks, that can also sync. And we go in this in so much detail in the full day workshop. So we'd love to have you join us and learn all about this. But let's give you a taster so that you've got enough to go away and try it today. So in case you're not sure where to find your online applications, put 365 login into your browser search bar, sign in with your work email and password, and this is what you're looking for. You're looking at the app launcher. I call that the waffle. That's the kind of 9 dots that looks like a waffle. And think of this as your Swiss Army knife. It opens up all the apps that are part of your Microsoft subscription. And this is where you'll find Microsoft To Do online. You can also go into the Microsoft Store and download it as an app on your desktop. That's what I do. I think the functionality of the app is a lot better. It's cleaner. It's a lot smoother. You can put emojis on it as well, and that makes me very happy. Little pictures for your little to-do lists. Some organizations have it turned off. I've delivered recently for two organizations really in the last month, and both of them at lunchtime went to IT and said, you have got to turn this on. And by the afternoon, they'd had it on and they all downloaded it because it's that good. So this is a screenshot of kind of what it looks like. So this is Microsoft To Do as a desktop app, and you can see that you have groups, and then you can make your own to-do lists as well. And then so I have a kind of a list for all the projects I'm working on. I have one-off actions for things like book a train ticket. I have a list of recurring tasks, tasks to delegate, tasks I'm waiting for. And I have a list for Good Ideas Park as well. That's something we love at Think Productive. A Good Ideas Park is a list of things you really want to do, but you don't have the capacity to do now. And then inside each list, this is where you can put your tasks. So you can either put them manually at that add a task bar at the bottom, or you can, as we said as well, sync them in from Teams or email or Planner or Loop or lots of other ways, because it all speaks to each other. That's the benefit of having your second brain, I think, inside Microsoft. Because I open this up each day and I go into planned, and you can see there I have 20 planned items, and I can have a look at what I've decided I'm going to do each day. And you can also sync that to your calendar as well. So you can pop what you need to do on your calendar. So hopefully that's enough of a taster to whet your appetite and give you enough to kind of go away and investigate and have a play around with. And if you think that's something that could really work for you in the full day workshop, we take you through setting up your second brain and linking everything from across into that one place. Lee, what's in the chat?
So a couple of people couldn't resist testing adding a chat to a to-do until after the session, and they have done it and it works, which is fantastic. And there's been
Brilliant.
a few chat messages just clarifying exactly which drop downs you need to do. Denise has said, you're almost selling me on Microsoft, hand on mouth, but has also said, do you offer the similar session for Google Workplace? So I've just done a little note with Denise to say, reach out to me about that. And then again, maybe a couple of questions might be on scope on time. If you have your emails on an Apple iPhone, is there some way of getting them into To Do? Is there some kind of possibility? Probably not, I think. I'm not sure.
That would depend. I've never tried, but you know what? I've got my Apple iPhone, and I'm going to talk you. I'm going to figure it out now.
Okay. Meanwhile, I'll fill the space whilst you're having to do it. Haley says emojis on the to-do list names are an absolute game
Yes,
changer.
yes, you
So
can.
yeah. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, you flag them in. Anywhere there's a flag, that's what you're looking for. So yeah, I've never
Yeah.
tried it. It's a great
Cool.
question,
Well, there you
but
go.
you
So
flag them
live
in.
discovery, and Adrian also pointing out that there would be an iOS to-do app for the iPhone that you could actually install and do
Yes.
that
Oh,
as well.
that's my favorite thing, Lee. So I
Yeah.
have my to do. And look, there are two schools of thought on this. Some people say I don't want anything work related on my phone at all. Um, Other people say no, I go on work trips, I'm on the train a lot. I'm kind of in that camp. So I have Microsoft To Do as an app on my phone. And if I'm on a train and I suddenly think, oh, I should really do that, I can pop it straight into my second brain from my
Yeah.
phone.
Tess is asking, that's amazing. How do I do it? Tess, I suspect that you're asking, how do I flag an email on iPhone and it comes up in to do? I think you just literally flag it, Dee
Yeah,
said.
flag it. Yeah, you
Um,
flag it and then in to do, you can see there, it's still on the screen. There's flagged emails on the left-hand side. Um, and that's where you'll find it. And then from there, you can drag it into
you can move it
whichever
into
list you
any other
want.
list or
Yeah.
project. Cool. Tess is having a small celebration in the chat.
Oh,
So
yay.
just looking at our time, so we're advertised for 45 minutes total. So you've got 14 minutes left, Dee, and I will continue to not interrupt your flow,
No,
but people are
no,
getting very excited in the chat, which is great.
no, we're leaving lots of time for question at the end, so stay with us. Um, so yeah, so I just wanted to use this opportunity to just say you've seen today just a really small sample. We've touched on Teams meetings and we've touched a little bit on Microsoft To Do. In the full day session, we cover so much more. So you will end the day with a second brain set up in To Do that's aligned to your work projects. All your to-do lists and actions will be in there. You'll know how to flow and funnel everything into one place. And you'll also learn loads of other stuff too. You'll learn the difference between OneDrive and Teams and SharePoint. You'll learn about Microsoft bookings, lists, planners. The list goes on. And we'd love to see you in our full day workshop because it really does make a difference. So there's two ways that you can get involved. So firstly, in January, we've got a public workshop at the end of January. We do that over 2 mornings. So you can sign up for our public workshop. Yeah, so that's the 28th and then the 29th. So we'd love to see you there. Spaces are limited on that one. So do sign up with the early bird rate before spaces get filled. And then the other thing that we'd love is we'd love to deliver this in-house. So we can come in with a team of up to 15 people and we can work with you to sort out your to-do lists, but also figure out your teams and your comms and all that kind of stuff and show you lots of apps that maybe you haven't heard of. So Lee, now is a good time. Yes,
To bring in the
we've left
questions.
lots of time for questions. So, are there
So
any in the Q&A or is it all in
yeah,
the chat?
it's all in the chat. So, and I think I've spotted them all. So, Joe asked about something I'd not heard of. So, we'll find out when I say what it was, whether it is a 365 component or whether it's something external to Microsoft. Do you do any sessions on software like Power BI? What is
Um,
that?
yeah, so we Power BI and Power Automate, we touch on a little bit in the full day workshop. All we do is really kind of explain what they are and how you might want to use them. I would say they're the next level. Their way, so Power Automate is the way that you can start automating from within Teams. So for example, you could say, if I get an email from this person, I automatically want it to save in a Word document in this folder in SharePoint. So that's Power Automate. Power BI is essentially doing all the behind the scenes analysis for you. It creates beautiful graphs and visuals. It does all that, your kind of back end analysis, and you can set it up in all different ways. So just as an example, a few years ago, I worked in a secondary school and we used Power BI for teachers to report on students and then to generate those as kind of online
Yep.
dashboards for parents. It's definitely the second step.
Yeah, so it feels
Um,
more like a tool for specialists,
it
somebody running a
is,
particular process,
I would say.
semi-tech people,
Yeah. So in answer
rather
to
than
your
the general
question,
audience.
yeah, in answer to your question, no, we don't have a session on that. That doesn't mean we won't. For now, we're really focused on kind of just helping people get to grips with Microsoft 365, know what they've bought, and get their confidence up. But I wanted to explain what it was in case anyone
Yeah.
listening was confused.
Cool. I've already got 4 more questions queued up for you. So
Okay.
just keep your answers brief and succinct because I suspect we'll get 5, 6, and 7. Leanne says, is it possible to bookmark individual Teams messages? I'm new to MS, but I'm used to Slack where you can do this. So is there some way of starring or bookmarking or favoriting a chat message? I can't remember
I've
seeing
never
that.
tried, but I think you can pin them. I think if you right click, maybe someone online will know this better than me because as I say, I've never tried to do this, but I'm pretty sure you can right click and pin.
Hmm.
Um, but I'd have to have a look.
Cool. This is what I find when I've been observing the session. Like, there is no substitute for just
No.
getting your hands on it and
Yeah.
saying, what happens if I press here? What happens if I do that? And I know there's space in the session for people to explore that in the
Yeah.
full session. So your skills go up really, really
Yeah.
quickly.
And Lee, if you're ever unsure, just right click. Like right click on anything and a menu will appear of all the things you can do. So it might say favorite, it might say, I'm pretty sure in Microsoft Teams it's
Yeah.
pin.
Yeah, Alvin's just confirmed in the chat pin is possible. Right,
Yeah.
question 2. Emma says, I'm wondering if my team could save money on the cost of our Asana by using MS Planner to track projects, tasks, etc. Do we think this is worth exploring? I'm not aware of anything that Asana could do that Planner and To Do could not do. So if you're looking to simplify, oh, I've just gone and answered straight away. Dee, tell me whether I'm right.
No,
Like,
you're
yeah,
right.
if you're looking to simplify every down to sort of one flavor of tools within one ecosystem, obviously there'd be, the transition process, etc., would be quite interesting to do. But yes, pretty much everything you would want Asana to do would be possible within the Microsoft suite as well.
And there's a lot of those kind of aha moments in the full day workshop. People go, oh, I don't need SurveyMonkey anymore because I've got
Mm,
Microsoft Forms, or
yeah,
I don't need Calendly anymore because they've just discovered Microsoft Bookings.
yeah, cool. Right. Brief thoughts. Adrian asks a question, but maybe you'll just want to comment on it in general. Do you have any sessions regarding MS Copilot and all the fun AI stuff?
We haven't, and the reason we haven't made a session on that is
It's
because it
not
keeps
everyone has it.
changing. Well, not everyone has it. It's £24 per user per month,
Mm,
and
a
their
lot of money.
minimum is 300 users to sign up to it. And at the moment, every time I kind of log in and I have a look, like they've changed something or updated something. So it is coming, it is
Yeah.
something we're looking into, but we need it to kind of settle a bit.
Yeah. Similar, those of you who are eager for a Google flirt version of this, and I'm our in-house Google person, so I can see us going
Yeah.
down that
And
direction as well.
Lee, what I would say about Copilot is the best thing you can do to prepare for Copilot, which is Microsoft's answer to AI. It'll essentially, once you pay for Copilot, you get a little Copilot button in almost all of your Microsoft applications. So you
Mm,
might be in Word and you might have a nice strategic plan and you can click the Copilot button and say, For example, can you please turn this strategic plan into a 10-slide PowerPoint using our branding colors?
And make
But
me a cup of tea.
and make me a cup of tea, yes. But you need to know what Microsoft can do in order to know what you can ask
Yeah,
Copilot to
yeah.
do. So
It's like the second stage.
I feel like get to grips with Microsoft 365, come on our course, understand all those applications, how they link together, how you can save money as an organization of things that you're paying for that actually you're paying for twice. And then eventually, if Copilot ever comes down in price and more organizations sign up to it, you'll be better placed because you'll be able to say things like, can you create me a Microsoft form? And you can't ask it to do that unless you knew what a Microsoft form is.
Two more from Tess, and then we might squeeze in another one if one drops in quickly. So Tess says, oh, it disappeared. Oh no, I've got it. My to-do doesn't seem to have flagged. It only shows my day, important, planned, assigned. How do you find it? There's some setting up in the top left
Yeah,
corner that you have to fiddle with to show all the different things down the left-hand side, isn't there?
yeah. So if you're looking, it's your smart list. So depending on if you're online or in the app, you're looking for that little settings cog. It might be if you're online, click your name, and then once you've got the settings log, scroll down to smart lists,
Yeah.
and you can toggle across um,
Which lists are show as default.
which
Yeah.
lists are shown.
And
Yeah,
flagged is one
exactly.
of those
Yeah.
toggleable lists as well. And then the follow-up question was, and I don't know the answer to this either, can the reminder dates on to do go into a Google Calendar and collate alerts and Google Calendars? I suspect that's trying to give Google, that would be via giving your Google Calendar an iCal feed from your Outlook calendar. I'm also wondering
Mm.
why somebody would want to do that. That seems to be a very
Yeah.
specialist requirement.
And I'm going to say I don't know because I've never tried. Um, I'd have to do a bit of research into that. And as I say, I'm not sure why you'd want to, because if you're paying for Microsoft and you've got
Mm.
Microsoft 365 to then
I
not
suspect
use Outlook,
maybe Tess
maybe.
runs their personal overall calendar in Google
Mm,
and wants
could
work
be.
things to drop into it.
Yeah.
I suspect there is a calendar syncing, adding your Outlook as a second calendar in your Google. It's going to be around sharing the iCal feed as well, etc.
Yeah.
Maybe have to make this the last one, and then we'll
Yeah.
go for any final words from you, Dee. Julia, oh, I might be able to do this. Is it possible to export from To-Do to external apps like Todoist? Because I assume To-Do is administered by my organization, so maybe not ideal for non-work tasks. Can I take that one, Dee?
Please.
So I suspect you can't automatically have like Todoist sucking the contents of To-Do and auto syncing. There's probably like a data security
Yeah.
aspect to that as well. If you're asking in general about the kind of things we do on the full day, how to be a ninja, some people are happy to put both their work tasks and their non-work tasks into To Do. But some people do want to have them separate. So you could imagine that all your work things would sit in To Do, and then you would maybe have a third party tool like Todoist. How incredibly nice it is that they all have very similar names for the life, the home front. And then any of you who have read the book will know about the weekly review habit. And what a person who's got a setup like that would typically have is they would have those two things open on the screen at the same time during their weekly review, looking at their overall things. And of course, you could have reminders from both of those second brain tools feeding into the same calendar, whichever
Yeah.
one you wanted as well, etc. Tess is still troubleshooting the finding the flagged option test. I'm sure Dee's going to give us loads of ways for you to reach out afterwards. If you can't find how to do it for yourself, then please get in touch and we can send you the link to a help page or a little demo video or something like that as well. We've got 2 final minutes, Dee. What would you like to share to wrap up? You
Oh,
had the free sessions. I've shared the free session previously. Let me share that again. With the one you mentioned, the one that we did last month on Microsoft Tools, where
yeah.
there was the better attention to things like SharePoint versus OneDrive. We also covered some other sort of
Yeah,
extracts from the full workshop. So if you've liked this one, you can go back last month and get some other free wisdom. But then we've also got the public workshop, which is an accessible version of the whole thing coming up. So that's what's on the
yeah,
screen now. Yeah.
yeah. And really, just to one final plug, we'd love to see you in our up and coming taster webinars. We've got a lovely one coming up next week from Hayley, looking at growth through feedback. And then in January, we're kicking off the new year with emotional intelligence for people, professionals. So please do sign up. We'd love to see you there. Um, and do keep in touch. Um, let's stop sharing now. There we go.
Cool. Yeah. So find us on LinkedIn, visit the website, all that kind of good stuff. And I hope you found today useful. There's a little 45-minute gallop through
Yeah.
some of the things we do. Those of you who've maybe used us for other workshops in the past didn't know we did all this Microsoft stuff. And those of you who are here first time, that's not the only thing we do. We do loads of other things that
Yeah.
isn't Microsoft. So please do visit the website. I've got a raised hand from Amy, who perhaps wants to talk. So I'm going to allow you to talk, Amy, but just be aware that we're still recording. So it's fine, but it will be recorded. So if you change your mind, you don't need to come in on voice, but you should be able to unmute now. Maybe it was a accidental raised
Yeah.
hand. We shall see. Cool. It's all good. Yeah, if you're hanging around because you're thinking you're going to miss something, then we are officially wrapped. But Dee and I usually hang around for a couple of minutes of after show. And if you are watching this one back on the YouTube recording, because this will go up onto YouTube within about 48 hours, please do get in touch as well. So just drop us a line to hello@thinkproductive.co.uk or visit the website thinkproductive.co.uk for more about this course in its full form, or indeed anything else we do as well.
Yeah. And keep in touch. Like if you use some of the Teams meetings features, and it works really well for you, shout about it, let us know, tag us in LinkedIn. We'd love to hear your stories of how this stuff is helping.